Okay, so I think we didn't get the first part of this workshop because we had an issue with the streaming. Maybe the key has changed once more. Sometimes this happens after meetup events, right? We've got different instructors accessing the platform and stuff like that. So basically we were just looking at state, just to do a quick recap summary. We were looking at state and we said that state is a way of storing some values that we expect to change in our application, yeah? We want some interactivity to our website. We want to store some values in the state to reflect these changes on our page. Yep, I ran into this error this morning and we're now looking at how to fix it. And we said it was because I hadn't updated to the latest version of React. I was using some old code trying to adapt it into hooks and my hooks weren't working. So we're now looking at how to fix that error. How do we update to the latest version of React? So how do I, where do I see my dependencies, my list of dependencies? Package.json, right? So in package.json, here, we've got React and we've got React DOM. These two, I don't know what they were set to now, I can't actually remember, but it was maybe something like, where's the tilde gone? There it is, but I put it in the wrong place. It was maybe something like 16.5.6 or something like that, right? So we could clearly see that it was too old, right? 16.8 was when hooks were introduced. So instead, I use that symbol for saying make sure the version is greater than or equal to 16.8. And then I ran npm install again, so that updated my dependencies, and that fixed my issue, right? So just, if you do run into that error message, make sure that you have at least 16.8 version of React installed or above.
So there would be a point where it would happen automatically. So keep an eye out for the updates.
You've got to keep an eye out for the updates now, but at least now that I've got this symbol in here, greater than or equal to, every time I run npm install, it will make sure I have the most recent version. So I've probably got 16.9 installed already. Yeah, based on that. I could go and have a look in my node modules and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do it at this stage because it's a bit hard to find things sometimes. Yep, question? So once I'd changed that little bit of text, then I just ran the command npm install, right, or npm I. And that sorts out all my dependencies for me and updates me to the latest version. Yeah, and that fixed my error.
If you run the npm and everything's all good already.
So you might not even run into this problem, right? Because you've used a more modern version of Create React App. If you're creating a brand new application, you probably won't get that error. But if you're working on any old code, any legacy code in your companies or elsewhere, then you may get that error. So it's just something to be aware of, yeah?
If you run the command npm install,
yeah,
and everything's already updated, it overwrites or it can check it's already okay?
No, so it will do some sort of checking algorithm, right? It won't overwrite everything if you're already up to date. It will check whether it needs to be updated first, and then it will, of course, do that. But yeah, npm just worries about all that stuff for you, so usually you don't have to.
Okay.
All right. But if you are curious what sort of symbols you can put in front of your version number, I can share that with you. And this little Stack Overflow article is great, right? It just comes from the official documentation, but it tells you what all these little tildes and carets and greater thans and all that sort of stuff means, yeah? So I can share that with you at the end if you want. Cool. So anyway, we haven't got that error anymore. And firstly, I'm just going to show you the example here, a working example of the one in the documentation. Sorry, you can't see that very well, can you? So from that code, what do you expect it will do? What's it going to display?
It's going to create a button for you to click.
Yep, so there's going to be a button with an on-click event there. And it's going to call a method which you've defined in the state, or as a state updater, if you like, a state updater method. And it's going to increment this variable count.
Every time you click and numbers
So every time you click, yep, the count variable will increment by 1, and then this will get displayed on the page, and it says you clicked times, yeah, however many times the count variable has incremented to. Yeah, so what does that look like as a running application? It looks like this. Probably the styling is not necessarily the same, but I've made it very, very visible, right? The button's gone crazy for some reason, but anyway, you get the idea. So when we click, 1, 2, etc., right? So we are updating the state. So stored in the state is a count variable at the moment with the value 5. When I run this event, this click event, it will update the count variable, so it will update the variable of count that is stored in the state object, and that's it really, right? As a most basic example, that is using state. So let's have a look at the code to achieve that. Yeah, I think I've put it in login for now, so we'll create a logging component in a second. So this is the code just directly pulled from the documentation. So the most important parts are up here in our import statement. That probably looks slightly different to what you're used to. All right. So as of 16.8, version 16.8, we now have this use state thing that we can import. I'm struggling for words again. Yeah, but we can import use state, the use state method.
Instead of this, is that okay?
Yeah, so it's a replacement for SetState. Yeah, and also a replacement for using this dot state inside a constructor. I can't say it. Inside a constructor function. Oh, words this morning, right? It's only Thursday. It's not even Friday. Okay, so you probably noticed that is different. So every time you want to use a hook, you need to import that hook. The one we want to use in this case is called useState. There are multiple hooks, and you can even define your own. So hooks get pretty deep, but for now we're just looking at the useState hook. So once we've imported it, we've got access to it. This is the line to set everything up, essentially. So usually we'd use a constant. That's the best practice, right? Unless we expect our definition to change, and when we don't expect it to change, we expect the values inside to change, but not the definition itself. So the syntax: const, and then you declare. Looks a bit weird, right? But you declare two things inside an array, essentially, right? Or using square bracket syntax at least. Yeah, so we're defining count, and count is our variable that we want to store in the state. And then our next value is the method that we use to update the state. So essentially the syntax will always look like const, square brackets, state value to update, comma, method to update state. Yep, so you got the value and the method, essentially, right? That's the syntax. And you put that equal to the useState method, and that can accept one argument, and that argument is the initial value of the state. The initial value of the state. So see that ours had 0 in previously, because we want our counter to start from 0.
If we were to start from 5, we'll start from 5.
Yep, we can do that, Ahmed, just to test it out. So if I now, well, I think it already refreshed, but if I refresh my page, it's gone to 5, not 0. Yeah? If I click, 12, refresh, goes back to 5. Yeah? So that is our initial value of the state. wrong project. So that is how we would set up a value in the state and a method to also update the state. So there's only one line, right? Already we've probably saved at least 3 lines based on class-based components, because we'd need to create a constructor function and put this dot state in there. And we'll talk about that later. I'm only addressing the ones of you that have already looked at state at the moment, yeah? We've looked at state inside of classes. So then we need some way to update the state, right? Here we're using an on-click event. So in other words, whenever the user clicks on this button that says click me, then we're going to invoke this function, this anonymous function here. And that function itself calls what method? Calls the setCount method that we've defined up there. So that's our modifier method that updates the state. And what does it do? Well, it takes the existing value of count from the state and adds 1 to it. That's it, right? That is the most basic way you could use state. I thought it would be nice to look at a slightly more complicated example. Just looking at how we would perhaps toggle a login button and a login message. We're not actually going to look at logins, that's very, very complicated, right? All the security side of things, we're not going to go into that today. But we will look at how someone can click a login button and that will change their state to logged in. The message will then also change to log out, right? Because they're logged in. We'll see that working. So, question first, yep.
So now with hooks, the state is not an object, or
Um,
there is a different syntax that we still don't know. It's an array, or
No. Yeah, we've got just a variable, and we could have numerous variables that we can update using the useState hook. So, yeah, under the hood, they're still a bit different to just your standard variables, right? They are linked to this hook that enables us to update them. So there is quite a bit going on underneath the hood, and if you still want to think that they're stored in an object, that's okay. Yeah, I think that's okay to say. No, we don't need a class component. Where's a class component here anyway? It's not, right? That's the whole idea of hooks.
what would be the elements of the state now are like variables. We don't need to say.
No, we don't need to do this dot state dot anything or state dot count. No, it's just the variable name now. So that has been simplified as well. Yeah.
So it's been counted from component, taking a component. You don't need a component, so that's counting that.
It's still a component.
Yeah.
Yeah. Notice the capital E.
Yeah.
And we're still rendering it inside of, I called it login because we're going to make a login, so it's a bit confusing, but we're still rendering it as a component here, right? This is the component syntax in React, the tag with the capital letter, but it's not a class-based component, it's a functional-based component. For all intents and purposes, it's just a JavaScript function with a bit of extra stuff added to it to make it easier to manage state in our applications. Alright, so what I wanted to do was try and create a login. Hope I didn't reveal all the code there that I created earlier. Where's my export default? Oh, I've already got it there. I've got my export default inline. Cool. So rather than using count and setCount, what do you think we could put inside of here to both initialize our state variable and to initialize a method to update that state variable? What could we use? What names could we use? So we could say login, or maybe even is logged in, I quite like. Yeah, and then that's telling us whether someone's logged in or not. The method to update the login could be called login state, or often we use set, yeah, because we're actually setting something, similar to using SetState, but this time we're setting the login. Yeah. And then what do you think our initial value would be? 5 probably doesn't make sense in this case.
How is it that it already offered you that?
Because it offered me that because I've typed it up before to test it.
Okay.
Right? That's the only reason it's offered me that. Yeah. Empty string. So is logged in empty string. True or false, I think, right? You're either logged in or you're not. It's a Boolean essentially. So usually when you go on a page, are you logged in or not? Depends. Alright. If you've never signed into that page in your life, are you logged in or not? False. So I think it should be false, yeah, to begin with. Okay. And then maybe our paragraph this time should say you are currently logged, and then we either want it to be in or out, right? Dependent on something. So we could say you're currently logged and then have a variable in here. It's not getting to names and stuff, let's just stick it to true or false or in or out, right? So we essentially want this to be either in, pipe is gone again, or out, right? This is pseudocode at the moment, right? We want it to be either in or out. So we need some sort of conditional in there. Our button this time, is it going to set the count? What's it going to set? Login, yeah. So we want it to set login, and we want to change it to what value? So we could change it to true, but then it would be always true, exactly. We'll leave it like that for now, Esteban, right? And we'll see what happens. So the button itself, we probably want to say, again, we want this bit to change, right? We either want it to say log in or log out, dependent on whether they're logged in or not. Okay. Yes, we need some sort of if-else statement to display these bits of text, yeah? How would we do that? I think someone said it. Ternary operator. Yeah? Alright. So what can I use as my condition for my ternary operator? Yeah, so what goes before the question mark in my ternary then? Yeah, so we don't need this dot state. That was the old way of doing things, right? Now we've just got a variable stored in our state called is logged in, right? So in other words, if is logged in is true, then we want to display log out. Otherwise, we want to display log in. Alright, we'll tidy this up in a second. And the same principle applies here, right? Why did I get all those extra spaces? So if we're logged in, we want to say you are currently logged in, right? Otherwise, you are currently logged out. Something like that, yeah? So inside of the button, yeah, we want the button to either display is logged in or logged out. What do I need to tidy that bit up?
Oh, your indentation on the ternary
You want indentation on the ternaries? We could do. Oops. Something like that you were going for?
Yeah, it's
Okay, let's have a look at that button. See whether we got. So at the moment, oh, hold on. We've got is logged in, question mark, log out. Whoa, all right. It does say you're currently logged out, which is good. So I think that bit's probably working. And if we click it, it does change to is logged in, but the button's not displaying correctly, right? So back to our code. So what's wrong with this bit inside the button? It's just interpreting it all as text rather than JavaScript code. Curly braces, we missed the curly braces, right? There's no curly braces to tell our program that this is a bit of JavaScript code. So then we need to make login and log out to be strings, right? Rather than variables. Can I put it all back on one line, Jack? Sorry, it's a bit weird indentation for me. I think it all fits all right on one line, so I'm going to leave it like that. All right, let's have a look now. You're currently logged out. Big button says login. Will it change? Log out. Log out's not working. So I think Esteban predicted earlier. Why isn't log out working? Because it's always true, right? We're always setting the state to, where am I? Is that different? This is the current one. Sorry for that confusion. So we're always setting login to true. Every time I click that, it's just going true, true, true. So it's never switching state. How do I make it toggle the state? So if you like, I could even say toggle login, right, as my method, but it's up to you. So rather than true, what value do I need to put inside of that function?
I don't really count, right? On this one.
So in other words, when it's false, we want true, and when it's true, we want false.
Is logged in?
So Ahmed is suggesting, can we use is logged in? So that probably won't change anything, right? Because we're getting the current value from the state.
So you're saying vice versa.
So we want to do that. Yeah. So if this value is true, we want it to turn to false. And if this value is false, we want to turn it to true. How can we do that in JavaScript? Exclamation mark, yeah, that's the not operator, isn't it? That coerces things into a Boolean if it's not already, and then does the opposite. So probably just like that, right? Let's test it. Hey, log out, log in, log out, log in. Boom. See it toggling? So that's essentially what you could do for your login and log out button. Obviously there's lots of checks you need to do in between hand, right? Does this user exist? Have they got a password? Is it secure? All these sorts of things. But as the start and the end point of a login and log out sequence, that's what you could use. You could easily play around with that in the state. Yeah? Any questions on that code? Let's have a closer look at it and I'll give you time to digest it. Oh, that's a bit big. Does a hook have to be in a variable? So the hook itself is this bit. Use state is the hook, right? Think of a hook just as a method that allows you to do something that regular JavaScript doesn't have an inbuilt method for. Yeah, for now. Doesn't push it, it hooks it this time, right, Ed? Yeah, so it adds a little bit of extra functionality.
So now for each previous property of state, now we have to declare a
yeah, that's for me the only slight little drawback at the moment is we can't maybe pass in an object here with is logged in and message and all those sorts of things. We can't do 2 in 1 like that. If we wanted to have some sort of message that changes in the state as well, we would have to do as Esteban suggested and create a brand new constant for message, and then the method would be set message, right? Oh. And then use state, maybe our initial message is I don't know, log into see message or something like that, right? And then we could display that down here. How would I display it? How would I display my message? Curly braces message, exactly. Easy, right? It's just a variable, so we can just display it like that. If I go back, log in to see message has now appeared down there. And then, yeah, we're going to want to call 2 functions now, aren't we, essentially, right? So on click, what I'd probably do now then is I would just call another function, and I would probably create that function down here, and then make that call both of my update methods. So we wanted to call set login and set message, right? I think this will do both at the same time. We wanted the login to be the opposite of logged in, and we want the message to be, yeah, this isn't the best thing to do with the message probably, but let's just change it once with the message. So
Component did not write.
no, so that's the thing, right? We now don't have component did mount. There's a, well, they only belong to class-based components. So in functions we have the use effect hook, which can simulate that instead if we use it in a certain way. We're not going to touch on that today, we're just going to stick to state. So we could maybe make it do that, right? On the click it calls another function, and that function itself will update the separate values of our state. Let's see whether that's worked. Nope. Set login is not defined because it's defined inside of that function. Good point. So we would have to pass it as a variable. Yes, we can pass functions around just the way we pass other things around. We haven't talked about higher order functions yet, but we can do that. And then this would be, well, I can call it the same thing, right? Set login and set message. Let's have a look now. Is logged in is not defined. Do I have to pass that as well? Yeah, it's getting a bit messy, right? There must be a better way to do it. Oops. Yeah. So it works, and our user obviously just stays because we haven't told it to set any other message or toggle the message or anything like that. But yeah, it doesn't have to call these methods directly if you didn't want it to. I guess we could have just had a function here that called multiple updates. That would have also been fine. I was just trying not to do it all in line because it gets a bit messy, right, if we do things in line. Could have also had that function inside of this function. So there's many ways to do it. I don't like the way I've done it, but it works at least, right? And then I'd refactor it and make it better. What else do you want to look at, guys? Another example, or look at classes and see the differences? Any input? What would you like to look at next? Yeah, you want to look at the class-based way of doing it as well? With the login? Yep. So I can get rid of that bit. And I think that's as simple as we got it, right? For a hook-based updating state. Okay. So, what do I need to do first? Do I need this hook anymore? Let's start from the top. Do I need that hook anymore? Nope. Do I need anything else instead if I'm using a class-based component? Not sure. So we're now creating a class component, what? Like class login, right? Extends what? Component? What are we going for then? React.component. Yeah, they mean the same thing, but the syntax, we can only use one of the syntaxes at the moment. The other one won't work for the question mark reason that I put at the top. So if we use React.component, then we don't need to import anything in there. If we just used component, we would have to import component from React. Yeah? Make sense? So for now, alright, I'll do that. Okay, so we've now started to set up a class. Do we need these? Parentheses? Nope, just get rid of those then. So we still need the curly braces, right? Then what? We will need a render, so I'll put it in. Yeah, but because we're using state, we need to put in a constructor. We need to also call super. And to set our state in a class-based component, you're quite right, we need to do this dot state key value. What do you mean? This dot state equals object. What goes in my object? Let's keep it similar, right? What did we use before? This dot state is logged in. And what value does that take? Initially. What do we use initially in our hook? That was our initial value, right, of our state before. So let's just copy it. False. Okay. Is that our constructor setup? No? That's our constructor setup though, right? This bit. Yeah? Do we need to pass props? Are we sending any props into this component? I didn't think we were sending any props in, so I didn't see why we had to pass props. Yeah, props are immutable, but they can come from a parent component that, yeah, which is going to be app in this case, right? That's the parent. But we're not sending anything from app down to login. right? That we're not sending any props in here saying is logged in or anything like that, yeah? So I'm not going to pass any props, Kieran, for now. What goes inside my render? All of our return stuff. We're probably going to need to edit it in some way. Up to there. Okay, so we're returning a div with a paragraph. We want it to say you are currently logged in or logged out, depending on what we want. So what does is logged in need to be changed to? This dot state dot is logged in, yeah.
We can put answer, right? Instead of
Is that right? Just so we don't run out of room. It's not the best code, but never mind. The button. Does the button need to change in any way? Have we got an update state method anymore? Or even an update login method or set login? We haven't got one, right? What do we use instead? SetState. Okay. It's changed it for me. It's this dot set state, yeah? So remember, because we're in a class, we need to use this as well. And what do I set the state to? That looks okay, right? Does that look okay? No. Why not? Why not, Kieran? Do we use 2 dots somewhere? Oh, you want another dot here? Is that what you're saying? This dot set state dot something. Something's missing. Anyone else helping? Curly braces where, Esteban? Yeah. So what do we always pass to this dot state or this dot set state? We pass it an object, yeah? We need key value pairs again, rather than just putting a value. We need key value pairs. So what value are we changing? Or what variable are we changing? Is logged in. That's the name of the variable in the state that we're changing, and we're changing it to the opposite, right? Again, I'm running out of room. I'll just zoom out as the easiest way. Yeah, so we're changing this dot state dot is logged in to the opposite of the value that is stored there. I am going to comment everything else out. Okay, so that's our code now. We've got our import statement still. We've got an export. This time we're exporting a class. We had to create a constructor to use state. Our paragraphs and our divs and our buttons are the same. We had to use this dot state dot is logged in, and we had to use this dot set state with passing an object instead. Let's see, shall we? See if we manage to get it working. Is logged in is not defined. Is it that one or this one, right? On line 16, that's not defined. Why not? How do we reference a value that is stored in the state in a class-based component? Yes, must be this. dot state again. Yeah. Is it working now? Line 15 as well. Is logged in is not defined. Yep. So this one as well, right? Needs to be this dot state dot is logged in. Now it works again. Which one do you prefer? Hooks. Yeah, probably. Most people will probably prefer the hooks version. We didn't have to create a constructor. We don't have to remember to use this all the time. We've got one generic state method which could be useful, but we still have to do this dot state, this dot state, this dot state everywhere. We could use a bit of object destructuring to get around that. We haven't covered that yet, but does anyone know how to do it? No, nothing to do with functions. It's object destructuring, right? So it's to do with objects, making objects easier to access.
You put in props and you use dot. I can't remember how exactly.
What I would probably do is I would do, what have we got? So we've got is logged in is the one that we're using, right? Are we using anything else that's stored in the state? No, I don't think we are. So I could do is logged in equals this dot state. What's up with that then? Declaration or statement expected. Do I have to actually put is logged in? No. What am I doing? Inside the render. I think that's the right syntax. Oh, my desktop's gone. Oops, cancel that. So there's a useful document here on destructuring that I will share with you at some stage. Oh yeah, so I didn't assign it into a variable, did I? That was a bit silly. So where have I got? Here. So we could say let is logged equal oops, wrong way around. Okay, so now each time, rather than writing this dot state is logged in, which will of course still work, if we get rid of all our instances of this dot state dot is logged in and just replace it with logged in, similar to how we were using it in the functional component, should now still work, right? So that's just saved us writing this dot state each time. Yeah, we assigned is logged in into a variable. Effectively, we've given an alias, right, to this dot state dot is logged in, and we're just referencing it with is logged in.
That's what we see constructor.
That's object destructuring, yes. Yeah. And you often see it with props in React as well. People destructure their props in that way. And then you wouldn't need the let, right? You do it inside of here, right? We'd have something like is logged in for our prop. You'll see that next week on the board challenge. Actually, we will look at destructuring props. on the intermediate board challenge next week. But anyway, back to state. Any more questions on state? Or do you want to do one question on the platform? What do you want to do? We've got intermediate training, I think, on state on the platform. Or just digest it. Yes, so leave it there and you have a go on the platform one by yourselves? Yeah? Cool. Speak now unless if you want to do something different. No? All good. No worries.